Good afternoon, mech warriors, mech techs, and nobles in hiding. Hello, everybody. What a wonderfully beautiful day it is here in sunny, shiny, where are we today? Farcad. We'll be on Farcad today. Hi, everyone. I hope you're all well. I'm doing okay. I'm doing a lot, and I mean a lot better than last week. Last week was rough. Hi Hammer, glad you could join us and see who we got in chat. I think I saw Radar earlier. We got Psychotic, Feisman, Hammer. Hello everybody. So, what have we got planned for today? I'm going to start off, as I often do, by talking about my weekend. Hey youngster. And then I'll go on to talking about my own personal mercenary company. Radar says, so we get a sponsorship from the Farcad Broadcasting Company? Yeah, we're getting sponsorship deals. Buy Farcad bucks or something. I don't know how sponsorships work. I don't imagine we'll ever get a sponsorship. Probably for the best. I'm not entirely sure I could keep a straight face while telling people about how they can, I don't know, buy Dollar Shave Club and keep their genitals neat and tidy. Though I would be perfectly happy to take a sponsorship from Raid Shadow Legends just for the memes. But regardless, yeah, so we'll start off, we're going to talk about how my weekend went. Specifically what I got up to on the BattleTech side of things, of course. Then we're going to talk about my own mercenary company, Salvage Gacha, and my plans for painting them. And then we're going to move on to the Contract Overhaul projects, because some big stuff happened after stream on the weekend. So the contract generation stuff that we were previously working on has now been done, and the reputation stuff, I believe I was doing that off stream when I was ill. Yes, I was. That's also been done. So those have both been merged in. So the new contract system, its prep work is now in the nightlies. It doesn't do anything. Players can't interact with it, but it's in the code. Contract Overhaul. It's in the code. But yeah, also the reputation system is actually live. You can use it in the nightlies. I did put out a notice yesterday saying don't. It is very much an incomplete system because it doesn't really... It mostly just doesn't really do anything right now, and it's likely to cause some compatibility problems with systems that expect you to be using CamOps reputation. Now, I think I got all of those, but I want people to get the best experience when they move to this new reputation system. So my recommendation is don't enable it until we've got the rest of the contract stuff in. But that's what we're going to be working on this week. So big changes in MekHQ. Really exciting changes. Also, last week I received a forfeit from Psychotic, and that was to tackle the oldest issue in the MekHQ queue. And I as part of the forfeit, I didn't do the oldest one. What did I do? Oh God, what did I do? It was fun. It was cool. I remember enjoying it. But as is such with these things, once a PR has been merged, once a project has been merged, I tend to just forget about it. That's my wife. 1 second. Okay, give me 2 ticks. Equipment history. Yeah, that's one of the things. That was the oldest one. Unit history, there we go. So the one I did as part of the forfeit was unit history. So I don't think that's been merged yet, but how it's going to work is as you do stuff with your units, it's going to accrue a automated unit history in the exact same way that your personnel get their little personnel logs. But then once I did that, I was like, oh, that was a lot of fun actually. I wonder what else is in the tail end of the queue. And I discovered the literal oldest issue in the MekHQ queue, which was it was telling players when equipment comes on sale, or changes status. So what I've done is I've created what I've called the Warrior's Almanac, and each year, if there's any parts or units that have changed status, so for example, a medium laser enters production, or a large pulse laser is now extinct, it will, in the Warrior's Almanac, will tell you that, and you can access the Warrior's Almanac at any time, but automatically it will pop up at the beginning of each year if there's anything to tell you about. It works, and I'm quite happy with it, but I'm not entirely happy with it. So I've not really been pushing for that to get merged yet. What I'm probably going to do over the week is just go in and tidy up the UI a little bit, make it a little bit more visually interesting. Because right now it's just one big massive list of stuff. And it's very hard to pick out the stuff that you actually care about. So I'm gonna see what I can do there to make the Warrior's Almanac something fun and exciting, a thing that players actually interact with. And it's actually got a side effect as well, because we're putting our availability data now front and center in front of the player. Radar says, careful with that almanac. If that thing ends up in the past, that thing can someone really rich and mess up the future. But yeah, it's the one benefit, and it's also a benefit and a downside to having the Warrior's Almanac, is that it means that our availability and equipment status data is going to be front and center, which means if there are any mistakes in that data, we're going to hear about it. That's why it's a good thing and a bad thing. But that's just how it is. A sippy sip of my coffee. As I'm sure you can hear in my voice, I am feeling much better. A little bit. I'm still a little bit from last week and the weekend, but mostly I'm doing okay. So those are the MegaMek side of things that I did. On the BattleTech side of things, so I actually a couple of weeks ago found the local BattleTech group in New City and New State that I now live in, and it's a fantastic group. It really is. And so we had a campaign, my second campaign game today, and I deployed Salvage Gacha. And we're going to talk a little bit about Salvage Gacha. But Salvage Gacha consists of a Jenna-D, a Commando 2D, or 2B, whichever it is, a Locust 1S, and a Phoenix Hawk 2, I think. Actually, why am I guessing? I can literally bring up MekBay, sponsored by MekBay, on my phone here. So let me just do exactly that. Load force. Yeah, so we've got a Phoenix Hawk 1D, a Jenna-D, a Commando 2D, and a Locust 1S. And so I deployed, and it was actually a company deployment. So we had three 3K forces on the player side and one 9K force on the op force side. Now this is excluding piloting skill, which was an issue because most of the force on my company side were green pilots, and most of the forces on the enemy side were regular or veteran. I will be honest, I wasn't paying too much attention to the center and the left flank because I had so much to deal with on the right flank. We opened up and I saw a lone blackjack, and I was like, okay, I can swarm the blackjack, we can do some nasty stuff with that blackjack. So I crest the hill with the entire lance working in tandem. And then we discover it wasn't a blackjack, I misread the model, it was actually a Lancelot. It was a Lancelot with two ER large lasers, a PPC, and an XL engine with the exact same movement profile as my Commando, Phoenix Hawk, and my I actually had a Stinger in that one instead of a Locust. So it was a really fancy Lancelot. Not much on the armor, so what I needed to do was I needed to really focus fire it. But the problem is I just couldn't hit it. And it was deleting a unit a turn. Like, target in their... they were in a Stinger, not a Locust, that round. Target in the Stinger just got absolutely shredded on turn 2. And I had to immediately pull them out because they had one structure left in their leg. So anything even looked at the leg, it was falling off. So I was like, okay, I'm going to willingly withdraw them. They weren't enforced withdrawal, but I was like, okay, I need to get them out. I need to save the mech. Techno in the commander got utterly obliterated on turn 3. So I mean utterly obliterate. Ammunition detonation, the unit's gone. And Techno ends up with 2 wounds. Now, because we're using hinterland rules, it means that the next scenario, Techno's going to be coming into the scenario with 1 wound already, which is an issue. Then we had essentially a duel at that point between the Lancelot and Kickflip in the Phoenix Hawk, and Kickflip just couldn't hit it. I don't think Kickflip did a single point of damage in the entire fight. It was really embarrassing. But while this was happening, Gumdrop in the Jenner was MVP. So what Gumdrop did, because Gumdrop in the Jenner has the fastest movement profile in the group right now, in that fight at least, because like again I swapped out the Locust for a Stinger. I'm now back to the Locust, but so Kickflip just raced, sorry, Gumdrop in the Jenner just raced ahead behind enemy lines, turn 3 immobilized an LRM carrier, then ran behind a lake and destroyed the second LRM carrier because they only have 2, then jumped over the lake, destroyed the original LRM carrier that they previously immobilized, and then captured the VIP that we were trying to capture. So Gumdrop basically obliterated the LRM carriers and then won the objective, while the rest of Salvage Gacha was getting immolated by a Lancelot. One single mech basically obliterated 50% of my force. It was really rough. Psychanic asked, how did the game go Friday? Well, we survived, but we did have to evacuate Pinnacle. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up some... so that's how my weekend went. It was a really, really good game. I will be honest, I got a little bit overstimulated by the end. But I had a great time. Let me see here. I'm just bringing up... There we are. I'm just bringing up some show and tell stuff, because now that I'm settled in and I'm like, okay, I really like Salvage Gacha, I want to continue playing with them. I'm like, okay, well, I can't just have them in the unpainted Grey Death Legion. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and I've started to think about, okay, well, what color scheme do I want? And so I really, really like, oh God, what's it called? Camo Specs Online. But the problem I have with Camo Specs Online is I see all these professionally painted minis and I just find it incredibly discouraging, because I know that the minis I create will never, ever, ever look like the ones on Camo Specs Online. And then it's really hard for me to look at that and go, okay, yeah, but I can do something like that, because I know I'm not a great painter. Psychedelic says trans pride character colors. Well, the thing is, Salvage Gacha isn't the Scrotorious Bastard, so I want to have a unique color for the Salvage Gacha. So if I head us over to Safari, there we go. So what I'm kind of wanting, I think, is I want some nice, vibrant, bright colors, because I've been wargaming for many, many years, and one of the mistakes I see a lot of newer players, and sometimes even veteran players doing, is they go for very dingy, grim, dark colors. And when you are 3 foot away from the mini and you're looking down in the not great lighting of a game store or someone's kitchen table, these grim, dark minis that look amazing up close just look like brown blobs at a distance. And so I really, really like to go for quite bright colors in my minis. So what I'm kind of settling on is, when I go to the Fire Masters, is I'm kind of setting on not on this color scheme. So this is, as I say, I really like Camo Specs Online as a reference source, but I prefer to go to Unit Color Compendium when it comes to picking out my color schemes, because they're not real minis. So I don't feel discouraged before I even start. So looking at the Fire Masters here, I think they're a Capellan group. Well, they're mercenaries, okay. This is not what the color scheme I want, but the green, the block color in the body and the legs, a dark color, and then another color for the lower arms. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So then I'm looking at, okay, well, what colors do I have? So I've got 3 colors. I've got the center color, I've got upper arm actuators, or upper arms, and then I've got lower arms. So then I kind of went over to Big Kev's brigade. I'm like, yes, this is what I'm thinking of. But then I also look at Milsessen's Marauders, which is a mouthful. And I really like this pink. So what I'm kind of thinking of is we'll go for... what I'm trying to decide is, do I want... Because I also like this green as well. So I think I might go for the light color, which will be the teal. If I go for teal body, then... Yeah, teal body, then the purple will be in the upper arms. And on the lower arms, I'll have this really neon pink. I think that'll look really good. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So we're thinking teal body and legs. Then purple upper arm actuators that are black. And then vibrant neon pink for the lower arms. That's kind of what I'm thinking for Salvage Gacha. Because I think that will really pop on the table. I know listening to me pick camo schemes is probably not the probably not what you're looking for, but I just thought it'd be interesting to you guys to share with you guys what I was kind of thinking, and then later on I'll be able to violet arm. Ooh. What color is violet? Seeker 10,000, do you mean violet upper arm or violet lower arm? Upper, yes, that's what I'm thinking as well. So the purple, so we'll go for teal body. So this blue, I think that's teal, might be aquamarine or something dumb. But I was thinking this green will be on the body and the leggies. Then we'd go for the purple, the violet, as the upper arm, and then we'll go for this neon pink for the lower arm. And once I've got these paints up, I'll absolutely share, because I'm slowly but surely setting up a paint station. I don't have a dedicated paint station like I did in the old house, so what I'm needing to do is just push all my stuff out of the way on my work desk and then work here. So I need to get a new lamp, because my existing lamp, one, for some reason, the cable was detached when we moved and packed somewhere else. We have no idea where. So that's one thing. But the other thing is my normal lamp is huge, and I don't have a huge desk space, especially not with my microphone. So we're going to get a smaller lamp, and then I'm going to basically, after I finish work each day, I'm going to force myself to have some relaxation time by painting Salvage Gacha. And that's going to bring me some joy. I'm also going to paint up everything for aces, so that, because I've now got Alpha Strike. Oh, I picked up Alpha Strike over the weekend. The box set. I already had Commander's Edition from years ago, but I picked up the Alpha Strike, so now I can play aces. So I'm going to paint up all the minis and aces and an Alpha Strike and get that ready. And then I'm going to force my loved ones to play Alpha Strike with me. But yeah, so that's basically. I need to remember how to add these. That's probably not what I want to do. We'll minimize this for now. Okay, I suppose we can close it for now. I know what I'm working with. Okay, so let's head over to 1 second. I see I've got a text message. Give me 2 ticks. My wife is just contacting me with cooking questions. There we go. My wife has to do all the shopping because my wife is my housemate is working at really awkward times, and so my wife is the only person who can drive other than my housemate. It was a lot easier to say I can't drive. So my housemate and my wife have to do the shopping. My housemate is busy, so my poor wife's having to do shopping, but my wife is also incredibly busy with her job, and it's all a whole thing. So we're just kind of negotiating how we're going to get groceries. But let's head over to IntelliJ, because that is not what you're here for. So, okay, the meat of the day. What do we want to achieve? So, what do we want to achieve here? Essentially, what I'm looking to do, and just boot MekHQ up, what we're looking to do is switch out the old contract generation menu dialogue. There we go. The old contract generation dialogue, I'm going to make a new one. Now, what are we not doing? We are not doing a final UI layout. This is going to look like absolute shit, and that's okay, because the only thing... oh, Hammer says they merged a few things. Okay, let me quickly jump over to Safari and get ourselves up to date, just to kind of make sure it's all good. What am I looking for? MekHQ. Give me 2 ticks, because I need to make sure I don't lose my... There we go. Because I want to... Now I've picked out a color scheme, I don't want to lose it again. But let me head over to MekHQ, so I'll take you guys to Safari. Not MekHQ, to the forks. I'm just going to make sure they're all up to date. There we are. It always helps to work from a clean canvas, as it were. Okay, now we are good. I can close this again. Goodbye. All right, so now we're in MekHQ, and we're in MekHQ because I just want to get an idea of whereabouts the UI lives. And the easiest way to do that is to just jump in and boot up a campaign and see what's going on. So again, what we're trying to do here is we're just going to plan out a very, very simple UI. So this isn't going to include a bunch of information that players will want. A bunch of functionality isn't going to be present. This is purely and simply, can we get contracts generating? And then once we've got contracts generating, the next step will be adding in a very crude yes, whatever. A very crude, come on, brain. Negotiation system. Yeah, I think I said that. Yeah, very crude negotiation system. So let's go and see. So our hookup is called Contract Market. So I'm heading over to IntelliJ now, because now we know what the button is labeled. We can now figure out where the button lives. Contract Market. Interesting, this isn't used. That's the contract market. Okay, well, this is the contract market dialog. We can back step from here. So let's go to... There we go. So. This is where we're going to create the market dialog. But next thing we want to do is create ourselves some campaign options. Just the one, really. Because what I tend to prefer is I create the system and then I go back and do the final campaign options. Because otherwise, well, you basically end up in a situation where you're trying to imagine what market options you want before you really know exactly the shape of everything. So we're going to go with chaos campaign. Okay, so that gives us our stuff. Ticket Advanced says, yeah, you have to know what information will be necessary before you can start designing the UI. Right. Oh man, we're using this a lot. Okay, well that's fine. What's our error? Okay, so this is the get contract market. Good. So this is actually our hookup point. What I'm trying to verify is, because I know for a fact that this is being filtered out somewhere, because the developer who started on the CamOps contract market abandoned the project and it's dead code. So okay, so this is going to be ignored because we're not going to use abstract contract market, or if we do, it'll be a different one. Okay, so it's just manually removed. All right, then. That is good. Just double checking. Yeah, it's all good. Fan-fiddly-tastic. All right, so now we have our hook point, and this is basically where we can inject the necessary code to make everything do what it needs to do. Perfect. That is exactly what we want. Okay, so let's start off with by saying create hook. Now, once we have everything squared away where we want it to be, this whole contract market method is actually probably going to go the way of the dodo. And we will almost certainly implement our own thing. But for now, we're just going to piggyback on the back of this system and use that to leverage. So. Let's go to UI and dialogue. And again, especially for anybody who is only joining us recently, what you're about to see is going to look like absolute garbage, because the only thing we're doing is just checking, will contracts generate? Okay, so we can create it in contract markets. We don't need to call it test dialogue, we just call it dialogue. So now we head over here, and we now know we want Shazam. Radar says UI work is for someone better with UI work. It's okay if it looks bad, it's work in progress. Or with the game before we start messing with anything else. So the thing is, I need to have an easy access point to generate new contracts and see what the contract terms are. Having a oh, that's gross. You must have an abstract contract market. Fuggedy. Okay, so that actually puts a bit of a crimp in our step, because we don't want to have to use the abstract contract market, because we don't want to. It's not what we want. But the good thing is, this is only being used in 2 places. So we will pop this in null. Actually, no, we will throw in a new new. There we go, that'll do. But then what we're going to do is come over here and campaign options. There we go. Get. And then we want contract. What is this option called? contract market method. And if that equals chaos. So this, I believe this is referred to as a version gate. Well, that's not a version gate, but it's a feature gate. Hey, Ashtrazi, glad you could join us. We've just finished the weekend catch-up, and we're now working on a very crude temporary UI for the market dialogue for Contract Overhaul Project. Oh, interesting. I see how this is set up. This sucks. What I'm doing right now is just thinking, how do I want to handle this? Fudgy, fudgy, fudge. Oh man, this is used far more places than I want. All right. Okay, we can actually roll these back, except this. And we're going to revert our earlier change. So we're going to get rid of these entirely. And then we are going to go back to Seeker 10,000 says time to expand the contract overhaul again. Yeah. I'm going to try and avoid that today at least. So chaos contract market dialogue test. And so what we're going to do is we're actually going to do this. Okay. So we'll go to campaign. All right, so this is get contract market. And then what we're going to need to do is look at where the UI button is. So it'll be somewhere in command center, most likely. Are we really coming back here? I guess we are. So where are you called? Show contract market dialogue. Right. So what we're going to do is this. Ciao. Actually, we don't need to do that, but we can do this. So you might think, hey, Illiani, why are we doing if true? Surely we should put a real conditional in. So the reason why we're not is specifically because this will immediately get flagged up. If we accidentally leave this in, it will get flagged as an error during code review. Okay, so that's going to give us our... So now if we click the UI button, it will now give us the new dialog. So that's our hook. It now falls upon us to actually create the dialog. So what I'm thinking about now is how exactly I want to go about this. Because normally in a real dialogue, you want to try and keep as much business out of the dialogue and just have the dialogue purely focusing on how to display the information. But in this particular instance, that's not really going to work just because of what we're doing here. We're not trying to hook it up properly. We're just trying to get it to a position where it can generate stuff for us. So let's have a look at mission, new contract generation, and abstract contract generation. So this is the class we made last week before, that I then finished up over the weekend. So this is what we're needing. So we can add this in here. We're just going to comment it out because we're just using this as a reference point. So you know what I can do, actually, is so it seems we just need a dialogue. We can actually use immersive dialogue. Immersive dialogue, simple. Let's go for notification. Yes, notification will be good. So what do I need for this? Actually, no, we want simple dialogue. So I'm using a simple dialogue because the only thing that I really want is just a way to generate these fresh contracts. And that's something that's very, very simple. It's very, very simple. It's very, very easy to do with this setup. Okay, so we're going to want campaign. We don't care about the speaker. That's not exciting. We're going to have a center message, which we'll get to in a second. Then we're going to have button labels, which is going to be a list of new and exit. And then we need our character message, which will be null. And this will immediately give me a very simple dialogue, as one might expect. All right, so this is essentially what this is going to do is it's going to generate a simple dialogue that says blah with the options of new and exit. And what this simple dialogue is going to do is every time we click new, that's going to be option 0. It's the first one. 0, 1. New, exit, 0, 1. So every time we click 0, new, it's going to give us a new contract. Anytime we click exit, it's going to stop. It's going to hit break and cancel out of the loop. And that is how we're going to get ourselves our new contracts. So we don't need any of this crap. But how do we get blah? What's blah going to be? That is going to be get contract text. I'm going to create ourselves a method. And this is where we're going to construct our contract. So for that, we need this. And we also need it to be uncommented. Okay, so we want a chaos contract. Now, another way to do this would be to have it printing out into the command console, the terminal down here. But I prefer not to do that. It's a pain in the ass, honestly. So we need campaign options, which we can get from campaign. In fact, there's no point in piss-arsing around when we've got the data right here. What else do we need? Current date. It is not current date now. I hate how it always assumes that you want current date now. What we actually want is this. We also need a detachment. By adding this. So the reason why we're doing it like this is it means this information is getting constructed at when we were first initializing it, the dialogue, and we're not redefining this every time we launch a new dialogue, because we're going to do a lot. Contract generation modifier is going to be 0. We don't really care about that. Contract search type. This is going to be mercenary. Faction standing, we do need that. I'm incredibly proud of the faction standing system. I think that it was a lot, and I mean a lot of work, a lot of writing too. But I'm really, really happy with how faction standing both came out and has been received. I'm just going to false these. False, false. There we go. Okay, so that gives us our contract. And now we are going to create a whole bunch of crap to construct ourselves. Okay, apparently it wasn't chaos contract we needed, per se. But that's okay. We'll forgive it. Just rename this to abstract contract. No. Create contracts. There we go. That's a more sensible naming pattern. Okie dokie. Why are we throwing up errors here? Missing return statement. Okay, that's fair. Ooh. Outside the curlies. You never want to short your curlies. Okay. I wonder what happens if we do this. Okay, that is nullable. So... Oh. Okay, so that's going to give us that. I'm actually going to change how we're handling this a little bit. So we're going to go over to campaign, new day manager. And we're going to insert our wonderful new dialogue. No, we've already hooked it up. There's no need. There's no need. Okie dokie. Let's launch MekHQ and see what breaks. Now, I'm hoping that the two string is going to give us a legible output. It's highly likely not, but that's okay. This is essentially what we're doing now is our first fresh run to see, hey, does this work? Is it going to generate any contracts whatsoever, or is it just going to break? So let's go to new campaign. Bear with me just 2 seconds. And I'm back. Okay. Da, 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 da. So our first step is going to be to say, hey, can we generate a contract if we have nobody in the campaign? Okay, cool, cool, cool. The answer is yes. It's generating... Okay, so this is completely worthless to us, but it is generating contracts with a fresh campaign. So we're going to save this campaign. And we're going to call it... that'll do. All right, so let's close out of here. And that tells us, unfortunately, the toString function isn't really working for us. And that's okay. We can abstract the toString, but I don't think we need to. Let's crack my old neck. So let's go and start figuring out, where do we want the toString? And I think we can just start with this. Wrong one. That's where I want to be. Build text from contract. And we're going to pass into that our abstract contract. There we go. Okay, so we're going to string builder. And we're going to open it up with HTML. So I want this formatted as the HTML so we can do stuff. Okay, so begins the long and tedious process of copying all this over. This is going to be very boring, but this is really, really essential. There we go. Now it's going to give us a whole bunch of, hey, you can make this easier, and that's okay, maybe we could. But I'm not looking to make it easier. What I'm looking for is just getting the information in a very easy way. Like, I just want it in front of me. I don't really care how pretty it is. Okay, that brings us over to employer data, which in theory, we might be able to just two-string it. So that's what we're going to try and do. Not entirely sure how well it'll work, but you never know. You've got enemy data. And it's a whole bunch of stuff here. Like, for example, we're now moving on to contract terms. So you might notice that a lot of this is not being stored in class objects. Like, for example, what I mean by that, we're not storing this directly. We're not having a money field and a monthly pay field. Instead of being stored in data holders, these records. That was a very deliberate design decision of mine, because this is essentially replacing, not even ostensibly, it is straight up replacing ATB contract. And the problem ATB contract had is it just became a central repository for any code that related to contracts. Like all of the morale data previously, I fixed it last year, but all of the morale data basically lived in ATB contracts, like straight up raw there. Just like how all of the repair data inexplicably lives in campaign. I really don't like that. And so to try and avoid that, we're trying to move. God, what am I doing here? As much, not move, but we're trying to. What I'm going to do here is ask it to confirm that this doesn't equal null. Because I don't need to see the entire StratCon state, I just need to know it doesn't equal null. There we go. What was I talking about? Come on, brain. Oh, that's right. I'm trying to keep this as clean as possible, just so we don't end up in the same similar situation as old ATB contract. Okay, I did notice we had some weirdness with jump cache, so I just want to see what's going on here. Contract utilities get jump path. I see. Okay, we don't need to worry about that. Get jump path versus cache jump path. Cache jump path will just always return the cache, whereas get jump path is going to reevaluate whether the cache needs to be updated. And lastly, SP append, and then we're just going to close the HTML tag. And then here's the secret source. Okay, let's boot up MekHQ and just see how horrific this is. One of the really important things with the new contract market is I Oh. I missed the most important part. Return. There we go. One of the things that's really, really important to me when in the new contract market is that I really, really, really want it to be customizable. I don't want it to be a situation where a contract generates and you're like, well, that's my contract. I want the player to be able, GMs really, I want GMs to be able to go in and say, okay, well, I actually want to have this contract, but I want to change this value in it. Like maybe the pay, maybe the straight support. It doesn't really matter what. I want players to really be able to craft contracts as much as they need to for their story. Because one of the things I really, really, really do not like is how the current contract system is just so rigid. So let's go to contract market. Oh lordy. Okay. This is perfect. Mostly perfect. Mostly perfect. So what we're going to do is let's try that again. See if it gives us something a bit more useful. And I definitely noticed there's a few nulls in there. And those are the dangers. In fact, considering it didn't throw a wobbly, we don't need to have this. This works perfectly fine. But so what we're looking at now is what is null. Hammer says they have to wander off to the real job. Well, take care, Hammer. I hope you have a great day at work. I know work's been pretty stressful recently, but I do hope you have a good day today. Okay, boop. Oh, I'm in the wrong screen. There we go. Okay, so this is a bit more useful. This is giving us all the information about the contract. And we know there's not information getting cut off because this is a scroll pane, scrolly. So this is the raw campaign. So we missed out contract ID. We missed out a... Interesting, we didn't. Not entirely sure why that's not got a new line there. Whatever. Either way, it's all fine. So we've got a null contract ID and we've got a null name. Those are the first two important things. So for this, we need to go over to abstract contract generation, and we need to do we need to add some steps. Now, what I'm wondering is, can we? Yes, we can. Step 9, final tasks. So we're going to do it more here. So I'm going to be bouncing back and forth between MekHQ and IntelliJ as I quickly reference stuff. For the sake of everybody at home, I'm going to stay in IntelliJ. So if you see me talking about MekHQ, I haven't for once I haven't forgotten to switch over. It's just that what I don't want to do is switch over to MekHQ and then forget to come back to IntelliJ, because IntelliJ is where the real stuff's going to be happening. So bear with me. Let me see here. So the first thing we're missing is our contract ID. So we need a contract ID. I've completely forgotten how to set a UID. Oh my god, I suck so hard. How I forgot that it was a UID and I just think it. Oh, I'm so trash. There we go. I can't be trusted. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. MegaMek says, how do you see what the options are in Paul's channel? Paul's channel? I don't know what the Paul's channel is. What do you mean by Paul's channel, Seeker? On the MegaMek Discord, but what? Paul's what? So there seems to be a fun little Discord problem right now where the poll isn't showing for some people. So I can't help you there. It is a Discord problem. For some people, the bot posts are being suppressed by some people's Discords. I have no idea why. I don't know if it's maybe a plugin you've got on Discord. I don't know. I just know that somebody else was having the same problem. Okay, so contract name is also null. So we need to get ourselves a contract name. Employer data is correct. Just checking everything is good. Siki says I don't use any plugins. Yeah, I think it's just straight up Discord being crap. Try completely closing Discord and reopening it, see if that helps. Contract finance data is null. Okay. Interesting. I wonder if I just straight up forgot to set that, but we'll come back to that. So showing you what I'm doing over at MekHQ is I'm just going down this list here and seeing what it hasn't been set. Mission status is null, so we're going to need to set that. Rented facilities is null. So some of these I know are being generated, but I'm wondering, stratcon state is null. I'm wondering if I just forgot to assign them to the actual class. Okay, perfect. That is all perfect and good and dandy by the looks of things. So here's the things that we're missing. Contract finance data is null, which is perplexing because I definitely set up a class object to hold the finance data. So let's go and have a look at our contract data, and we're looking for finance data. And where are we touching it? Okay, so it looks like we created the finance data object, but we don't actually populate it. Secret Advisor says, I can see the bot post, but I can't see what the options on the vote are. Yeah, we had somebody else have run into that exact same problem. I have no idea what the cause is. The only thing I can think of is it's a Discord problem. Also happens on the iPad app. Yeah, I have no idea, because if I'm going to check myself. So if I'm on my own, I am on my iPhone. So I go to polls, and I can see I can see them perfectly. And we've got near enough 200 people voting. So I don't know what could be the specific issue for you. Because we've got over 200 people who have voted, so we know it's not broken for everybody. But yeah, I don't know. Okay, so how do we work out finances? Now, first up, we're going to have initial finances, and then we're going to have later finances. We're going to come back to finances in a bit. Mission status, that we can do. Okay, so we're going to add a new mission status. I'm going to call it pending. And then that mission status just says, hey, it's not been accepted yet. Yeah, we'll do. This, by the way, is absolutely a terrible way to do this. Because if the order ever changes, this will just completely break. But because of a legacy programming, we can't easily undo this. I mean, we can, but it's not something I want to be dealing with right this second. Oh yeah, I suppose that's good and dandy. Then we can go contract. There we go. That's good and dandy. Rented facilities is null. That's actually not something we set until but I don't really want that to be null. So we're going to go ahead and construct it as an empty value. There we go. Because I really, really don't want null objects. So that's rented facilities done. Stratcon. What do we need to construct the Stratcon's campaign states? That's what I'm curious about. Okay, so we can actually just create that with empty. But now, we would want to probably set the contract, but that's going to require us coming in and completely overhauling Stratcon, which will be a later thing. So for now, we can just set it as an empty Stratcon object. That is good. So really, it's the finance data and contract name. So for contract name, we're just going to have some very, very placeholdery stuff here. So we're going to go with contract get type, objective type, name. Let's go for contract, get start date. String. Yeah, it's going to be good old-fashioned versus. Contract. Get enemy display name. Ah, there we go. Apparently I missed this everywhere. Grumbly, grumbly, grumbly. Oh, a very important thing. Always remember to close off your lines. Seeker 10,000 says, since we have roads and StratCon, it would be cool if vehicles with wheels got an advanced scouting bonus on them. Well, the thing is, when you're scouting, you're not just scouting the road. Yes, you're scouting a massive area. So the benefits of the road would probably be negated by the fact that you're needing to scout away from the road as well. Okay. Finance data is a little bit more complicated. So let me grab my copy of Hotspots Draconis Reach. A fantastic manual, by the way. I think I just punched my microphone. I do apologize. So we need to have a look at initial contract terms. The two ones are going to be pay and then transport. Because base support, support is covered monthly, so we really only need to look at pay and transport. So for pay, that is going to be give me a second, make sure I got the right book. Looks like it's page 27. Guess not. Come on, give me contract generation. Where the hell is it hiding? Random contracts is 143. So what I'm trying to work out is what the base A is. Give me a second. General contract terms is 26. Okay, base pay. Most contracts have a base pay that is paid every month for the contract based on an average of 500 per scale. This is paid each month under contract while in garrison per maintenance. So cost of maintenance is 500 SP per month per scale, meaning the base pay, it's 100% maintenance is also 500 SP. This cost needs to be paid by the player even if it's not under contract. For example, if they want to wait a month in the hopes of a better contract offer, they pay the maintenance cost based on the last contract scale. Just bear with me. Okay, I see. So you get base pay of 500, and then you get more money for combat pay. Let me just jam my pen in here. Lose my mark. Okay, so base pay is going to be 500 multiplied by scale. And then you're also going to get plus 500 by scale per scenario. Now, I should note this is an SP, so it does get translated over. So it's a... I will say this may need to get adjusted. Because if I remember my translation correctly, this is basically going to be equate to like 5 million a month, I think. Actually, I can just check. What is 500 times 10,000? 500 times 10,000. Yeah, it's a base pay of 5 million, and maintenance is also 5 million per month, which seems a little excessive, if you ask me. But I suppose it's 500 million across the entire contract. So I suppose it's not that bad. Yeah, no, I suppose that doesn't, it's not too bad. Okay, so we're gonna have base pay. It's my finance data. Let's flick you over to the right. Okay, so we're also gonna want to add a new payment option here. We're gonna want combat pay. So money, base pay. Should know SP in both base pay. Oh God, what am I doing? Ugh. Public final static int default base pay multiplier was 500 and combat pay. Actually, we can probably move these out of there and have them here because they are data objects, so I'm not as worried. Oh, Jesus Christ. I am apparently terrible at misclicking things today. Then we need to multiply both by transport. So that's going to be base pay and support points equals round base pay and support points multiplied by contract. Get one second, that's going to be contract terms data. I didn't add. Weird. I thought I could have swore I did this already, but I guess I didn't. So public get pay rate step. negotiations, pay support sim. Okay, so these are little utility helpers that are gonna make it easier for us to fetch data. Rather than needing to do a whole chain, we can just grab this and it's going to give us the exact same answer, but a little bit quicker. Can't believe I completely missed this. I thought I went through all of them. Public double get base pay multiplier. If you are enjoying watching me hammer away at the keyboard and you're having a good time with all the wonderful things we do here, please consider hitting the follow button so you can be notified of when we go live. If you are having a especially good time, then there's multiple ways in which you can support the channel. You can hit subscribe. You can donate through !tip to pop a tip in the tip jar, or you can spend some bits to get some wonderful little rewards. As always, nobody's required to donate, but all donations do go directly towards getting me a new computer so I have an easier time of developing for you all. That's wrong. These are all returning base pay multiplier. That's not great at all. So support multiplier we've done. Strict support. This might actually get changed very, very soon. Because I need to double check something with the negotiations. Support terms are to help cover battle damage and include repair costs and battlefield loss compensation. But the support terms will only cover repairs and battle loss for damage and losses incurred during the contract, and will not cover damage incurred, blah, blah, blah. Repair costs, blah, blah, blah. So if they're battle of any percentage, then include 100% support. Okay, that's really, really important and does actually change how we do this. So we're going to switch over here, and we're also going to add, so we have, I'm going to rename this, call this straight support multiplier. And then we're going to add in a new one. We're going to call it battlefield loss multiplier. So this is actually a really, really, really big change to how it currently works. So under Chaos Campaign, if you have any battle loss support battlefield loss multiplier, so say you got 10% of battlefield loss back, that also includes 100% straight support. Secret1000 says they're not quite clear on that. So what is straight support? Okay, so straight support means that whenever you're getting, whenever you're paying for repairs or maintenance, some of that is being covered by the employer. So the employer might say, while you're on this contract, I will pay for 50% of your repairs, and I will pay for 50% of your overheads, like your salaries and stuff like that. Whereas battlefield loss says, okay, your unit has taken damage in the scenario, we will pay for that unit to come back, to repair that unit. Secret1000 says that's a big buff to battlefield loss. Yes, it is. Which is, I do feel like it is a necessary buff, honestly. But does mean I need to go in and tweak things. So, straight support, and then we move on to here. So these just need to be translated right one step. Because it means that if you get 100% battlefield loss support, not only are all your losses being paid for, but all of your overhead is also being paid for. There we go. And these are all going to be 0. There we go. Oh, I haven't removed its straight support. That's fine. So now we're just going to add in some little utilities so we can access this in a couple of different ways. I don't like the get negotiations. I think that's unnecessary. So we're just going to change that to get. Boop, 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 boop. There we go. Salvage multiplier. Come on, brain. What are we doing here? Symbol of battlefield loss. Transport multiplier is the last one. Oh, right, okay, so we don't actually need any of these because the shortcut that we created here actually removes the need for that. So that's actually okay. I'm fine with that. So get rid of ye. Shoo shoo. But now what we do need, though, is to calculate a way to calculate our total finances. So we don't need it in abstract contract, but we do need it over here in the generation. There we go. So we're going to want to say get base pay multiply. And we're going to round that off nicely. And we need to convert it into an integer. Then in combat pay and support points, that is largely identical, except it's now using this. So that's our pay. We do need to then work out how much we're going to cover, what percentile we're covering of transport. And then we're going to need to work out how much it's going to cost to transport all our goodies and what our basics is. However, we do have Chaos Campaign utilities, get money from support points, and that is very simply money base pay. And that's combat pay. Shazam. Oh, no, not Shazam. Now it's Shazam. Okay, bear with me just a moment. I'm going to quickly go refill my water and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. And I am back. Let me just cancel out of this and head back into IllianiDev. Okie dokie. So our next steps, we need to work out how much it's going to cost us to transport all our stuff. But otherwise, that should be good. Money, money, money. Yep, that's all cool. All right, then. Jump cost. Now, what did I call it? Jump calculator? Transport cost. There we go. Money equals transport cost equals blah, 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 blah. No, that's not what I want. That's what I want. We need the traveling units, traveling spare parts, traveling personnel. I can do all of that. Traveling units equals detachment. Traveling warehouse equals detachment. And lastly, personnel. Do I not already have personnel? But well, probably not. Just checking I already have personnel. Because I'm passing in detachment here. Okay, it does not look like we already have personnel. So in that case, traveling personnel. Alright then, traveling units, traveling personnel, traveling warehouse. Is that the correct order? No. Okay. Traveling units, we need that as a collection. Traveling units, we need get units. So we're doing detachment, not campaign, because that means it's only going to be the stuff related to related to the detachment it's actually searching for. Okay, here's going to be an issue. We need a collection of people, but this stores it as a set. But that's easy enough to fix. There we go, I fixed that. No, it doesn't. Why is it doing that? Because I need jump shipping experience level. Okay, so that is going to be EXP regular. No? Oh. So that's the cost calculations, and then I need. It's funny how you spend a couple of months away from a particular area of the code, and your brain just discards everything. So I need to calculate the cost for the entire journey. Money cost for entire journey. To do that, I need to go contract. Contract utilities. Get travel days and get jump path, yes. Int travel days. And for that I need campaign. Contract. Actually, we do need to bake this in. So have I got faction standings previously? It doesn't look like it. It's not really been necessary. So much stuff just to work out transport costs. We need to know is the player GM? Boolean is player GM equals campaign is GM. And then Boolean is player overriding command circuit needs, which apparently I already have. Excellent. Oh, I also have GM. Oh, doobie-doo. Don't need that then. It's like I was able to predict that I need this information. So, campaign, abstract contract, current location, is GM, is overriding requirements, faction standings. Do I have that? I do! And then employer faction code. Required type, current location. Okay, let's see if I can adjust that without breaking so much. Okay, we'll find out how much that breaks in just a minute. So that's travel J's, and we need to work out total jumps. Get total jumps. Okay, so we also need to work out how many total jumps there are. So int total jumps equals contract utilities, get total jumps. Don't need any of that crap. Okay, so finally we work out, Jesus Christ, so much crap just to work out bloody transport costs. Why? Cost coverage equals. Here's something I want to know. Jump cost traffic. These are paid for each of each contract SP. So here's an interesting thing. Jump costs are abstracted in Chaos Campaign. So you actually get paid for 100% jump costs, you get paid 3 million per scale. Rather than an exact amount for your force. Interesting. Well, we've implemented rules as written for now, and then we will come in and tweak it once players start complaining. Default transport cost multiplier. So in theory, we don't actually need any of this crap. So that was a massive waste of everybody's time, but hey ho, sometimes it works like that. I should be clear when I say we'll change it when players complain. I am being facetious. If this doesn't work out, we will change it well before players get hold of it. Int transport cost and support points. Pachow. Secret 10,000 says I prefer the autistic level of detail. So one of the reasons why I'm liking this is because it means that if you start getting yourselves jump ships and stuff like that, it is straight up saving you money, rather than right now where there really isn't much of a reason to get a jump ship besides bragging rights. So base pay is covered. Double check this. Ooh, if the contract was taken while at a hiring hall, that's very interesting. That's very, very interesting. Oh, this is nice. Okay, so if you take the contract at a hiring hall, you get twice the pay, because they'll pay for you to ostensibly get back to the to the hiring hall. But if you don't take the contract as a hiring hall, you don't get the double payment. Oh, I really like that. That is so thematic. Oh, that is so thematic. Yes, I like that. That's very, very cool. Okay. Boolean is at hiring hall. Current location. Get current system is hiring hall. Current date. If that okay, equals is that hiring hall. Hiring hall return multiplier. There we go. I'm going to do this a different way. I was thinking this would be cleaner, but it really won't be. Very cool. Okay, that is a really, really cool thing to kind of elevate hiring halls. And also removes the whole trick of that players were having of just taking out contracts in the middle of nowhere and then pocketing all the change. In addition to some other stuff that's been done to kind of reduce that. So that's actually really cool. I like that. So basically this also caps at a single lance level. This basically caps transport pay at 6 million, which is still a decent chunk of cash, but not broken. I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, so that's going to give us our transport pay, which means we can finally do contract finance data. Pachow, and then we can set it in the contract. Pacha. Okay, let's boot up MekHQ and see what else we've forgotten. I also heard myself getting a message. I'm just going to double check if that's anything you need to care about. Nothing exciting. Oh, the switch does not cover all possible imports. Oh, buggity hell. Fuck it. We'll roll that back. That change, it's not an important change. That can be explicitly null. There we go. Okay, let's try that again. Huzzah! Psychotic says, those who have never made mistakes have never tried anything new. That's a very true thing. Like, it's really important to recognize that mistakes are okay. Okay, so this should give us pay of 0, and we shouldn't have any more nulls now. So I'm going to flip us over to MekHQ so you can see what I'm getting up to. Do, 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 do. Okay, description's null, so we're still missing a description. String description. Actually, we're just going to put a description of nothing for now. That'll be fine. Okay, so that's dealt with. Faction code, Republic of the Sphere. Okay, that's all good. Sponsor faction code is null. So sponsor faction will always be null if they're not employing what's the word? If they're not employing, come on brain, mercenaries. Okay, I think looks good. Pays money. We should say it's null, which means it hasn't been accepted yet. Morale data. We're missing morale data. To do morale data. Perfect. Okay, so let's generate an F1. So raid. Republic of Sphere versus Clan Wolf in Exile. Interesting that we're getting that. So let me just double check what I put in for name. Employer display enemy faction code. Okay, get enemy display name. That was my mistake. So I'm noticing the sponsor faction code is always null. So I'm just going to verify that we are generating sponsor factions. It doesn't look like we are. So that's something I need to investigate. Okay, so let's come out of here and we're going to go back into IntelliJ and we're going to see what we need to do to fix that. So pick employer, that's all good. Pick enemy. Allows mercenaries, yes. Okay, so we're going to change that to 1 just to make sure it's functioning. So heading back into MekHQ. So this will give us a 50% chance of... actually, no, it should give us a 100% chance of triggering mercenaries. So we'll see what happens here. Okay, yeah, so we are still seeing who's our employer? Draconis Combine. Corporation, okay. So I need to fix that. We're not we're selecting Draconis Combine. We're not generating a corporation, but that's a minor thing. What I'm particularly confused about is why we're getting null on sponsor faction code. So they should we can create a debug mode in a second. Actually, going to do that now. And just make sure that we're not, for some reason, defaulting to false on is using mercenaries. In fact, actually, just double check that. Yeah, that's all good. Seeker 10,000 said, I was recently reading the manga adaptation of Comrade Girls Shoot the Enemy, and the big point of the chapter I was at was how the NKVD stifled the initiative of commanders because they messed up. The penalty was death. Yeah, that was a huge problem. Because if you create a situation where people are afraid of making mistakes, you create a situation where people are afraid of trying things. And that's why it's really important. If ever you're in a leadership position, and this is something I learned very early on in my career, but it's really important. If you are in a leadership position, you must foster an environment where people feel safe making mistakes. Okay, let's back into IntelliJ, see what's happening here. Okay, so we've got an employer. Allows mercenaries equals true. And we rolled a 0, so it returns true. So this returns true. Ciao. So at this point, sponsor faction code should have a value. And then faction code should have shifted to mercenary. Oh, there it is. Perfect. Okay, so it does now work. Good. Just the classic of you have to look at it, otherwise. So, okay, cool. Okay, perfect. All right, so we know that's all good. What is next? What did I even change in pick enemy? Oh, I need to change that back. There we go. So I do think we can lower this to 1 in 10 rather than, because mercenaries are so highly used in the inner sphere. There is enemy determination, there is. I think 1 in 10 is a bit more reasonable. Okay. So that gives us our finance data. That should have covered all the other points that I missed. Morale data. Morale data, morale data, morale data. Okay. How do we work out starting morale? That's a question. MekHQ morale. I suppose we can just use a perform a morale check. That would be fine. Current date, contract. This is one that want to have an ATB contract, isn't it? Okay, for now, we're going to just have to have this as contract. Set morale. Oh, I need to set up a new morale data. Okay, morale data equals new morale data. Boop. And I want to set it. There we go. And for this, we only need to do MekHQ morale. No, contract morale. And we're just going to go ahead and flag it as stalemate. Okay. So that gives us everything that we're missing. This is like the final stuff. Set final tasks. Not set, it's perform. Perform final tasks. Basic information, contract details, morale, rented facilities, Stracon, and pay. determine contract pay. It's the contract pay per month. Most contracts have a base payment that is paid every month for the contract based on the average blah. Okay, so that is one thing we are missing. So that's actually not base pay, that is monthly pay. Psychanic says, someone once told me that 40k is an issue where armies are too big. So I'm okay. When you say too big, do you mean that the model count is too big, or that it doesn't make sense in canon, or I'd need a little bit more information for that. So transport pay, monthly pay, combat pay. And you've got total monthly pay. Okay, that is all perfect. So the actual result would have been the same. I just didn't think. Well, I think so. Psychedelic's talking about the scale of 40k, and I think one of the things that needs to be kept in mind is that how to put this without pissing off every 40k plan out there. The game is meant to be satire. It's not meant to be taken seriously. And a lot of times when you come across these big, like, canonical events that have loads and loads of deaths on either side, it's generally written by people who are not necessarily read up on real-world casualty rates. But yeah, I think one of the biggest mistakes people make with 40k and Warhammer in general is just they take it too seriously and take it all on face value, and they don't realize that it is largely satire. Or at least it was back in the day. I can't really speak too much about how it is nowadays, but back in the day it was very, very meant to be satire and wasn't meant to be taken as a serious thing. So let's see here. Determining contract pay, that's all good. And Dandino. Let's review all the changes that we've made. Added helper methods. Helper methods. We've also added final steps. Seeking Van said, I would agree with you until you reached Imperial armor around mid-2000s, which were a lot harder into the sci-fi elements. Yeah, I haven't really been very interested in 40k for a while. I kind of just fell out of love with it. Games Workshop definitely didn't help. Okay, so we've got this set up. Our next step is going to be to add some kind of renegotiation stuff. I'm trying to think exactly how I want to handle that. Okay, let's see here. How the devil do we want to handle this? Diddly dum. Have some more water. I'm trying to think exactly how I want to handle this next step, because right now we need a way to negotiate quickly, and there just isn't a lot of non-bespoke methods to do that. Okay, I'm going to step away from the computer very briefly. I know we've already had a break in this episode so far, but I'm going to take a step away from the computer very briefly so I can have a think. I might make myself a coffee, so I'm back in about 5 minutes. And I am back. Sorry I took a little bit longer than I was intending. I'm incredibly stupid. So when I was out there, I was like, okay, taking a break. Is there any snacks? There's no snacks. Sucks. So I'm like, oh, I'm taking a break. I'll refill my water so it's nice and fresh. Add in a whole bunch of water. All good, all good. So I come back to my desk and I sit down like, okay, cool. Then I realize I've left my water bottle somewhere. So I'm like, okay, better go get my water bottle. So I get back up and go into the kitchen. And I'm in the kitchen. I'm like, oh, I know I could have some cheese as a snack. So I get myself a slice of cheese and I nibble on it on my way back to desk. And I sit back down. Then I realize I've forgotten my water bottle again. So I'm like, oh, darn it. So I get back up, go to get my water bottle, and then realize I have no idea where my water bottle is. So I spend the next couple of minutes hunting for my water bottle. Only to discover that I put my bloody water bottle in the freezer. So I filled my water bottle with ice, poured in the water into my water bottle. Then I must have noticed that the freezer door was left open, which I don't normally do. And I was like, oh, I just closed the freezer door and just for some reason put my water bottle into the freezer and closed the door. So Looks like Hammer has just announced the upcoming new feature to MegaMek, which is going to be that the campaign options glow up that happened recently is being expanded to well, it's been expanded. It's actually, the work's already done to some MegaMek options as well, which is very nice. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're actually going to put an underline on this for now, and we're going to go ahead and adjust something that I did notice that we had wrong. So if I go to abstract contract generation, and then I go to pick employer, there we go. We are determining employer type, but then we're not actually doing anything with this employer type. So the employer type tells us basically what type of employer it is. So 2 seconds. My office is getting rather warm, so I just want to quickly clamber over everything and grab my little desk fan. Don't mind me, I'm just trying not to stand on dogs. All my BattleTech stuff. There we go. Now I can get my little fan and have it running so I don't get the full Mech Warrior experience. There we go. Ah, much better. So this again is just telling us what kind of employer we're looking for. I don't have a cooling vest. I don't. I'm a poor Mech Warrior. I don't get cooling vests. Okay, so let's slip you over to the right. See what we want to do here. So we determine employer, then we determine enemy based on the employer. So actually we need to we need to add in a new step here. Step 4, update employer or type. This is not working. This is not right. I don't think. We'll put in the update employer for type here, but I think this might be wrong. How are we picking target location? Employer data. Yeah, okay. So this is actually potentially wrong. So we actually need to pass in employer type into this. So Boolean is current system employer. String current system ID There we go. Okay. So, in fact, we only need to pass this in rather than the full caboodle. So what we're doing here is we're saying that if the employer is a current system employer, then it has to be... Is that what it works? No, that's not right. That's not right at all. Okay, here we go. Boolean is defensive objective. Equals objective data, play objective type, chaos objective type is attacker. Okay, so we're going to pass in, is this a defensive objective? And we're going to say employer data type is current system owner. Boolean should always pick current system. Sure, you guys can see where we're going with this, but I will explain in just a tick. Shazam. Okay, so what is happening here? We're going to come into this pick target location. This is what picks the planet that we're dealing with. And if it is a defensive objective and the employer is a local system owner or local planetary government, then the target system should always be the current system the player is in. That's what this says. It says if it should always pick the current system, pick the current system. Otherwise, bugger off. Determine contract location as normal. Now we can probably clean this up a little bit better. In fact, that is exactly what I'm going to do by just passing in. No, we can't. We'd have to pass in a whole bunch of extra data. This is actually fine. This is fine. Okay, so that is that. Fixed system picker. So, next up, we need to update the employer for type. This actually needs to happen after location. Hey Hammer, glad you could join us. So for this, we need to now do a switch. So string is real employer faction code, because previously it's actually been a mask. So to give you an idea of how the logic is working here, because this is, I don't want to say it's complicated, it's just involved. And let me have a slip-do of my water. I love the fact that our fridge has a nice ice machine. Love it. So how it works is we generate the employer. Then we generate the type of a contract based on that employer. Well, actually, that's more just a roll a random table. But then we work out the enemy data based on that employer. Then we pick the location based on employer, type, and enemy. With me so far? But then what we do is we go, okay, well, the actual employer isn't actually the employer that we picked. So this allows us then to go, okay, well, actually, the employer that's being picked is a Draconis Combine sponsored corporation. And then we change the faction to corporation. So but because obviously corporations don't have a whole lot of detailed political data, we're just gonna we piggyback on the faction data. So that's good there. That gives us our data. That's all good. This gives us our enemy. But we have access to employer data at this point. That's just using faction. Yeah, that's all working exactly as I remember. Perfect. So now we need to go ahead and update the mask to make it a real faction. So it's going to be a switch. I'm going to say employer type. Secret Advance says, will it pick more accurate names for corporations? Not right now, no. I might be able to do something like that later if I can get some data support, but out of the box, no, it won't. Okay. String original employer faction code. So any system owner, that's going to be the original. Local system owner is going to be the original. Any planetary government. So that's going to be get system, get planet, add government. Corporation, get corporation name. Local planetary government, that is going to be the same as any planetary government. Mercenary subcontract, get random mercenary. Noble, So for nobles, I actually feel like we might rename that to unknown sponsor. No, it doesn't really work. That's fine. We'll stick with nobles for now. But we need to check. Confirm as noble. No. We're gonna reflavor nobles as wealthy sponsor. There we go. Apparently I can't spell corporation. Meh, whatever. Corporation? Yeah, looks right. Let's go in and add some changes to... Where is my abstract contract? There it is. I'm going to go to employer data, type, faction code, display name, negotiator, liaison, string, original faction code. No, parent faction code. Oh god, I put this in the wrong bloody position. There we go. Parent faction code. Parent display name. Radar says, I think Hammer is unintentionally making Princess better at the arrow jock. I just saw Princess use evade maneuvers for the first time. I actually think Hammer snuck that in a little while ago. I couldn't be certain, but I think Hammer snuck that in. Not intentionally. Oh, well, there you go. Okay. So, going back over here. String real display name, that's all good. Okay, so here we're going to make both of these null. Then planetary government, local planetary government. These will be... This is such a complicated process because I'm needing to think about not just how this is all working together, but also how we figure things out. How do I want to handle any system, any planetary government? So I guess we get the planet. So I've got an attack contract. I've got a planetary invasion by a planetary government. Okay, I can work this. I can work this. So, for this one, we will find a target planet, systems target data, get planet. And then the string will be, well, parent employee display name is going to be planet get faction. No, this is not necessary. This is not necessary. This is though. I don't need you anymore. Okay. So, faction is government equals planet, get factions, current date, objects, utility. So this can equal null, right? I feel like at this point, if we have a null target planet, the contract generation has failed. There we go. Okay, so if target planet at this point is null, this can't actually be null, so this is fine. Ignore. I'm trying to remember the special case that tells it to ignore the next nullable. that'll do. Ba, 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 ba. So that's going to give us our random government. No, yeah, that'll be fine, actually. Faction. It's gonna work. Trying to decide if this is gonna work or not. Basically, the problem I'm trying to avoid is we don't want the planetary government of Farcad to independently declare a planetary invasion on, I don't know, Luthian, because that just doesn't make sense. But similarly, if we pick the target planet and then say, to do a counter invasion, that would make sense. Okay. How about this? Planetary actions. If planetary factions contains employ a faction code. Okay, if the planetary faction does not contain the employer faction, then we need to switch employer and enemy. Okay. So, new employer becomes enemy data, action code. No, this isn't going to work because we might have already converted it over to mercenary. Shiting hell. So what we do is we come to pick enemy. And pick enemy. Ah, I know. I know how to make this work. Enemy data sponsor faction code equals null. faction, no, faction equals factions, get instance, get faction. Get full name, current date, year. There we go. Okie dokie. So. Let's do something similar down here. Oh, take care of you, Kneading Hammer. Okay, so if it's a planetary government or local planetary government and the employer does not exist within the planet's ownership, then we are going to switch over so the enemy is defending and the player is attacking. We can do this even better. That's just, we're being so daft here. Okay. If objective data is attacker, then we need to flip. Do we need to flip? You know what? Are we just trying to solve a problem that doesn't exist? I think we are. Okay, let's go over to our data. And we're going to need to create some new factions. Actually, I think that's something I'm going to do this week. I'm going to create a faction editor. Shouldn't take too long. Famous last words. Justice, please, yeah. A faction editor would be nice. Actually, a better surrogate would be mercenary. That should be fine. This actually, I just want to copy across these. That seems like a good idea. Background and era mods. You okay, Mr. Bear? Let's see if there's any other tags that we need to think about. That's not helpful. We're getting some polluted faction tag. There we are. Yeah, that looks good. So that should function correctly. Okay, so that gives us corporation. We're also going to do PG. This is Gov. Problem is, this one here won't work, because the planetary government should be reflective of the parent faction. So I guess this one can go away. No, we are just tying ourselves in circles here. None of this is actually going to work. I think the mistake I'm making is here. when we're picking employer, we need to be specifying who the conflict faction is. So string conflict faction. The faction used determine enemy. That, I think, is what we do. There we go. And we don't need this anymore. There we are. Little by little. Why aren't you? Oh. Why is this not working? What have I done wrong? Oh. An extra curly. There we go. Okay. So now what we need to do is we pick the employer. So this faction code is that is your conflict faction. Yeah. Okay. So this gives us our conflict faction. Is this? Are we over egging the pudding here? At this point, I need to step. No, I need to step away from this. I am just walking in circles. I need to come back at this with a clear plan. Yeah, I need a clear plan here. Okie dokie. Right, gang. So, oh, I think I accidentally removed the one thing I didn't want to remove. Or did I not? I did. Okay, but that's fine. Actually, do I have a local history? I do! Hooray! Perfect. All right, gang. So it is 4:15 local. I am going to end the stream a little bit early today because I can hear Mr. Bear crying in the background. I don't know if that's getting picked up. So he clearly needs to go outside. And unfortunately, Mr. Bear takes a long time to potty, which is why I always take him before stream. But I guess he's desperate. And I've got some important things I need to do tonight anyway. So we are going to end it here. If you've had a good time today and would like to support the channel, you can do so by hitting follow so you can be notified of when we go live. You can also support the channel more directly by hitting the subscribe button, popping in some bits. You can get some bunch of emotes and special rewards through bits and subscribing. And if you want to donate more directly, there is !tip. I will be back tomorrow. What I'm probably going to do in my own time is just try and see if I can figure out a good approach here. It's probably going to need me to go in to the guts of how we pick employers and locations and stuff like that. Again, just a bit of a pain in the bum, but I'm sure I can manage it. So I will leave that here. I hope you all had a good time, and I will certainly see you tomorrow. Toodles! Yes, Mr. Bear, I'll take you outside. Yeah, he's come over for fusses because he just... Yes, I'm okay. Mr. Bear says I have to leave now, so I will be back tomorrow.